Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's Motivation Monday, y'all. It's Motivation Monday. Yes, yes, yes. Are we motivated? Are we motivated? Yes, yes, yes. We are motivated today. All right, everybody. I'm just gonna get on and share real quick and post real quick and tag real quick, and then we can start. So everybody in the world, we are live. We are live all over Facebook, live all over YouTube. I feel like I have a lag. You know how the computer has a lag? You ever been so tired that you got a lag? I have a lag today. I'm not even going to hold you. I have burned every candle at every end and I have a lag. I don't even know. As you know, 30 interviews in 30 days. This is day 19, but this is literally not my 19th interview. I've done some interviews. People have interviewed me. So I haven't, but you know what? You do what you love. And so we're going to start. Robert, we can share for a moment if you want to share anything.
Okay.
If you want to share on Facebook and everything, because it should be live now.
Okay, it just didn't pop up on my phone here. Sometimes you got to.
You want me to tag you?
Yes, please.
Okay, that's what I'll do. I'll tag you. In the meantime, in between time, everybody out there, Motivation Monday, we do this every third Monday of the month. It is networking and entrepreneurial talk. And each time we have a different discipline, different career, different business that we want to highlight to teach people, to show people. But nonprofits is normally a hot topic. People want to know how to do nonprofits, but I guess they get scared when it comes to accounting. I don't know.
Yeah, they get a little bit nervous, and a lot of times you get a lot of bad advice. So hopefully I can help point people in the right direction tonight.
Oh, hopefully, absolutely. I'm sure you can. This is what you do. This is definitely what you do. I'm going to tag you now. I was waiting for one of the young ladies. She called me and said she definitely needed to be on this, but I don't see her yet. So let's start off with introductions. Who wants to go first? Rashawn, do you want to go first?
Sure, definitely. So what's going on, everybody in Facebook world, YouTube world? Shelly Shell Williams, again, thank you so much for, putting this together, continuing to give information and knowledge out to us, the business owner, the nonprofit, whoever. You always show up and show out. And so excited about today's Motivational Monday. My name is Rashawn Howard. I am the host and co-producer of Connected Cooking on YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed yet out there, guys, I gotta make sure I hit Facebook when I get the opportunity and put my tag in there. But follow, subscribe on YouTube to my channel. You just gotta look up Rashawn Howard, Rashon Howard. We air every Wednesday at 6:30. And this Wednesday, if you are a non-meat eater, you want to make sure you watch this Wednesday. So again, thank you, Shelly Shell, for doing this. And looking forward to tonight's interview.
All right. Tashawn, I'm not sure if you want. I know you just sent a message in the chat. Did you want to introduce yourself? But wait a minute. I have a question, Rashawn. You mentioned that you're the host of Connected Cooking, but yes. What about your actual financial, like going into the financial background?
Yes. So that's a great question. So Connected Cooking stemmed from an idea of trying to get financial information out in a fun way to the people. So I am a financial advisor, advocate for economic equality. And what I do on an everyday basis is help people live life by design and not by default, and be in the right mindset. So you can get a journal or a book written by myself, Mentality of Success, on Amazon, or go to my website, experiencesean.com. That's EXPERIENCESSON.com. And join the Grow Network, gaining realistic opportunities for wealth. That's what it's all about.
Awesome. Tashawn, you ready? or are you just typing in today? Okay, George, are you ready? George Cephas.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. Just about. Oh, y'all. So yeah, yo, what's going on? As you can see, I'm on with the kiddos, the fam. But mine is George Smith. I found Survival Success. I focus on healing the Black community mentally, spiritually, and financially through youth engagement, community engagement, and transformation coaching. I also am author of a journal called 50 Questions Healing. I also have a free ebook out right now called Survival Success, Moving the Black Community Forward. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I always laugh when Rashad do his introductions because he got so much going on that he always forget to include stuff. And I just be cracking up. So yeah, I appreciate y'all, love y'all so much. A part of the Motivate Monday network crew too. So yeah, appreciate y'all.
All right, George. George is actually a nonprofit. Did you get your 501c3 yet, or are you working on it?
Working on it, currently in the process of working with somebody on that right now.
Got it, got it. But your goal is to become a nonprofit.
Yep,
And,
501c3.
and you're
So I have
operating.
my article of incorporation. I'm just looking to get my 501c3 status now so I can start getting these grants in.
Got it, got it, got it. Okay. All right, all right. So I'm going to get started. Rashawn was here, but it popped off. I'm not sure if I did anything, but I admitted him, but I don't know what happened. All right, so I'm going to get started. All right, today we are talking accounting for nonprofits and small business. Our guest for today is Robert E. Williams, no relation, or maybe we don't know that we're related. You never know. But his name is Robert E. Williams, and he's of MBS Consulting. Is it consulting or consultants?
Consultants.
Consultants.
Yes.
And you are an accounting, are you a CPA, or are you a
The best description to give me is a business analyst.
ooh,
The reason that I like to make that clarity, accounting is an extension of bookkeeping, which you need. But I analyze over the years. I've been an analytical person over the years. So from taxation to management, the profit, nonprofit, it's some of the same structure. Because analysts sometimes look at the bottom line a little bit differently than just people who's recording.
okay.
So a lot of times, some of the things I like to clarify, even people in my field, I told sometimes we have to be clear with that. That's why sometimes people complain about an accountant, or sometimes somebody thinks somebody is great. It's because of different approaches that we take. So we all do a little bit of the same thing, but I really analyze more than just doing the just recording the information. But officially, in business, I'm showing my age now. Been doing it since I was 19, and
Okay.
I'm actually 54 now, so we could do the math. And I laugh how I got into the field, because I always looked at accounting and doing accounting bookkeeping work was where a lot of people are faltering at, and I realized that at a young age. So I did many other things, but I always say focus on looking at the behind the scenes, people's paperwork, people filing their proper taxes, and just making sure they got everything together. So hopefully I can give a lot of insight tonight on some of the things that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when it comes we got into the conversation because we were actually talking about nonprofits and how they how it actually messes up. Now when COVID hit, uh to get some of the funding, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had to have proper paperwork,
Right.
right?
Right.
So, what is some of the proper paperwork we needed that we could have avoided?
Well, one thing, as a whole, when you're getting funding for your organization, you got to find a way to self-fund. One of the things when you're sending off for grants or you're sending off for any monies is your activities. Sometimes those activities might come out of your pocket, the board pocket. You don't need board members if you're not going to be financially committed. And that is very important. I'm on a board of Black Writers Museum in Germantown with my cousin Supreme Dow. Love her madly, been supportive, but I've also been supportive because I make sure you get a check every year. And that has been a board
Because
member.
you said because you give a check every year.
I give them a check every year
Oh yeah,
as a
yeah.
board member for Black Writers Museum. All of us have committed to doing that. The reason for that, when you go to anyone for funding, they just want to see what you're doing yourself. So activities is important and financial, and they got to be huge. You can be applying for $50,000. Let's say the board came up with 2,500. It's like a commitment that you're willing to do things to make something happen, even though you're going for bigger goals. That still evaluates that's profit and non-profit. People want to see what you want to put into it before they give. So when you come to the paperwork, it's the grants usually are spelled out by the person, the agencies giving up the money. They usually pretty much spell it out. Take your time, read through it. But the evaluations that they're doing the most is how many people are you reaching? How many people are you connecting to? So they might give you 25,000. If you got 25,000 and you reach 5 people, they might not give you money again next year. But if you got 25,000 and you have a big event and you can show progress, whatever your program might be you're trying to help, and you show that you got people getting the help and you got that in your records, and that goes to your 990s and you got a record like that you build up, that's how you get the money. Most people have nonprofits for 5, 6 years and can't get no money. But what are you doing with it? Even before you get to nonprofit status, you need to be raising
Well,
money today.
raise money today, but you're saying that a good way to raise money and to get on there is to have a board member who maybe commits commits yearly, monthly, or whatever, commits to their money to say that I have this amount of income coming in for my business. It's already there.
That
So when you're choosing
evaluation is important.
so when you're choosing your board members, make sure you're choosing uh ones that have money. Or could you use in kind as an income thing? So suppose I cannot give money as a board member, but I have services as a board member, and I put a value to it and
Yes.
say, here. So suppose George, I'm a member, a board member of his, right?
Mhm.
I'm not that I'm not going to give him money, but suppose I don't have the money. I'm going to say my services, I do writing, whatever I do a lot of services, but suppose I put the services on there. I say it values at 500 a month, right? So now he can
Mhm.
say that I have 500 a month coming in from period. He doesn't have to say who it's from, right?
Right. Well, let me give you something more. It is money is important, but it is a service of people on the board to bring that value. You have a popular network. Your popularity speaks for itself. So if you're doing an event and that popularity is helping even just promoting an organization through what you're doing already, and you go to that organization, they have 4 events a year, and they know they can rely on you to get 200, 300 people there. And I'm pretty sure if you do an event, you got enough of a network, you can probably get numbers out like that. So it is other ways to value, but everybody on that board, if they are a quiet person, but they got that certain historical PhD and did some other behind the scenes stuff, they have a value because their name can be mentioned and a program can be ran or understanding what you're doing, that value can be given to them on that. So it is a lot of in-kind service, but you still need people on the board that's doing something. Financial is first because we want to raise money. You need people to commit. And if you got a board wanting to commit $200 a year, $300 a year, I ain't talking about 2,000. That's that psychological commitment that they wanted to commit. And even if it's just selling tickets, some people might not have the money, but they can have an event and sell tickets. The reason you want to focus on that because you want to have a board that's working. And then when it comes to doing events, that's where the other services come into play. But you want to focus on not just a name on the board. You got to have a meeting to say, hey, look at what can we commit? What can we do? This is the mission that we're going to help. Everybody want to say they want to help inner city youth, right? That comes up at the topic. But you got to define what does that mean? Who's on there? What are you going to really do? You just want to preach like everybody else, or you're going to come up with real solutions? And that's something that I consider.
Okay, so when we're starting out, we're picking our board, then what type of records do we need to keep? Do we need an accountant from the jump? You know what I mean? What if we don't have a budget yet? Do we need an accountant from the jump? And if we don't have an accountant, what do we need to do to make sure our records are correct from the start?
Believe it or not, the most important person you need in your nonprofit is the secretary.
And say what?
The most important person to keep the records, that's the secretary's job.
Okay.
Nobody, now an accountant, that's the money side, right? If you have no money, that's just a zero form. I want to make sure your 990s is filled out, and anyone, like the gentleman that spoke, he said that he has not gotten his nonprofit status. You haven't gotten the exemption status from the IRS. But if you filed on the state today and they send it back after you send the money off, and they say your organization, they'll send you a sheet that says you're an organization today. What happens when people don't fill out anything because they're waiting for the nonprofit status, which can sometimes take a while to get together? And let's say they've been a nonprofit for 5 years. They say, no, we're not. We don't have it. No, you're not exempt yet, but you're nonprofit. You come back from the state. So that's the most important. So I could do it as an accountant. Who keeps track of the records? It's a secretary. Not just minutes at the meeting, but things that scheduled. Those reports, like the accountant keeps certain reports for the organization, but that's the secretary to keep track of information like that. So sometimes when you're at that board and you got a nonprofit, the person taking those minutes, who's attending, who's on the board, who's not, the corporate bylaws, who has a copy of all of that, technically the secretary should be the one with the book.
Okay.
The accountant comes in later. And it's important as well, the treasurer. The treasurer on it don't have to be an accountant. That's record. We raised this money and we spent that out. As simple as that sounds. Now, when you get to a big project, a development, and you grow, yes, look for an accountant then. But when you first start off, as long as somebody has a decent trustworthiness and to come with a basic system to say, we raised $5,000, we got these expenses. And then also with a nonprofit, you need to make sure you keep a double signature system. If you're paying something by a check, or if you're paying any expenses, any invoice, even if you write it on a piece of paper that we're doing this fundraiser or we're doing this event in the neighborhood for the kids. Any event, write on a piece of paper, 2 people sign off on it. We pay $50 to pick up that food. That receipt comes back, one person signed it, somebody else signed it as money is spent. Those are the things you want to really keep track of, because whoever the accountant is, if you give them that big pile of receipts, they can work it out for you. And as you grow, yes, you need to get more sophisticated and everything. Don't get me wrong. But I'm looking at everybody starting off. The secretary keeps track of the notes, and the treasurer keeps track of what's being came in, make copies of checks, keep them in a folder. Any money's raised, deposit that money in the bank ASAP, even if you take it back out the bank the next day, because you want to keep track of every penny that you raise. Everybody okay with that? Everybody, I hope people make too many mistakes with that, but that's something that you want to be really nitpicky about in the beginning.
So if you've been established for a while and you messed all that up, where do you start now?
When we try to make one thing, if somebody has a nonprofit status and maybe they didn't have everything perfectly done, the first paperwork I want to make sure that was filed is catching up on your 990s. Now, if you missed the filing date, which is March 15th for businesses, and you didn't file an extension and you just didn't file for the years, sometime I can talk to the IRS, and I have, and they've accepted people's stuff without banging them. But if you miss filing your nonprofit on time, big or small, it's around a $2,500,000 late fee.
Is it really?
Now, you can work,
I thought they were taking away the status. I thought I saw somewhere that they're saying they're going to take away your status.
After 3 years, you lose your status.
Okay.
But when you first do it, you got 3 years that make sure you're on top. And lose your status after 3 years, because what happened, you had people that had nonprofits for years that never use it. So they started evaluating, and you can get it back. You can actually get it back. Sometimes if you mess up that bad, you need to just wait and get it back and just pay a little bit less of a fee and just say you're starting over again. And just be polite. When you talk to IRS people, be polite, be professional. Don't have somebody on the phone being a know-it-all. That's make sure they inform and being polite. That's most of the time how I resolve people issues. How y'all doing? Look here, we understand. Oh wow, they didn't realize that. Excuse me. I'm here to rectify this because they're doing such a great job. They didn't know. Could you please give us a pass? And I'm joking, but that's how you work at the IRS. That's how I work at the IRS.
Oh,
I
that's
humble
nice.
down and say, okay, guys, look here, they just wasn't aware. And a lot of times I get somebody on the phone and say, look here, this is what we can do. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. They really, I will make it a point they will not make this mistake again. I can't promise that, but I try to tell people that's one of the things people don't know. But if 990s need to be filed first, that's the first thing I would look at. And as we go through the records, and we just organize like any other business, we sit down, put all the receipts together, all the monies that came in, and just fill them up, count them for each year, and then we go from there and understand what the money was used for, what it went to, and the purpose for you raising the money.
So with the filing, if you make 50,000 and under, you're filing the 990N, and you don't have to have as many of those I's crossed, I's
Right.
dotted and T's crossed, right?
Yes, it is. If you zero, you can file zero. If you're under 50,000, you might not have to have. You're right. That is good. I'm glad you did your research. That's good. You don't always have to file everything, but as a secretary, as a group, as an organization, I want people to have all this stuff together, period. So that makes your organization strong. So you might not have to file each and every paper, but it don't hurt if you do. You might not have a lot of money, but when somebody goes to look you up and you look you up, but I can look up a nonprofit organization through the IRS database. And you can see by reading their 990s the activity of what they're doing and not doing. And that's some of the biggest things. It's not about how much money you raise, it shows the activities that you're doing as well. So certain organizations can look you up.
So if you do the 990N and you don't put any information on it, basically you're just filing under 50,000. But if you don't put any
And they
information,
know that you have a nonprofit.
right, it just goes to nonprofit. It just doesn't show activity. So if I do the straight 990 without the N, the long form, right? Is that what it's called? If I do the long form and put all the activities in it, it allows people to see what I've done, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. George mentioned that he has a book, right? Is the book allowed to go under the nonprofit?
Yes. As a category he should have or need to redo it called intellectual property.
We'll say that one more time. Speak louder on that one. I gotta hear that one again.
If he has not done it, it is a section under nonprofit intellectual property. That's what that falls under. So the proceeds from the book that he has that is selling, I hope it does sell for him, right? Once you get the gross proceeds less expenses, the proceeds from the book less expenses should be going to fund a approved program by the board of the organization. So let's say he says this money is going to come in, and when he gets the money, and keep in mind, I said less expenses.
Mhm.
So as expenses, which sometimes includes paychecks to the person, stipends
Gotcha.
to Mr. George. Keep it reasonable. But let's say I hope he does let's say make a $10,000 profit margin, right?
Yes, let's claim that, George.
And he makes $10,000 profit margin. You can look and talk and debate, because I don't want to give people no bad numbers, but it's something that you look at was reasonable. But if it's a profit margin of that much and you have expenses out and your money's already taken out for you, but he's sitting at $10,000, he says 4,000 was for his administrative expenses for him doing it, that's very reasonable. The other 6,000 should be going to the two programs it's funding. If that's buy codes, if it's to buy that, That's what you want to do under nonprofit. But people do have a right to get expense deductions first. But the thing is, the gross profit, the net profits, should be going to approved programs in the organization.
Okay, so you said net profits goes to programs and organization, right?
In the organization,
Okay,
yes.
so you make
Funding program.
10,000. Hmm?
It should be funding programs.
I didn't hear you.
When you make net profit, when you make a net profit, it should be
Okay,
funding
so the
program.
10. Okay, it should be funded program. And your program could be whatever your program is, but you could take your
Right.
net profits and fund your program. But with the beginning part, you're paying your salary and you're paying your expenses.
Yes.
Okay.
You
Now,
have a right.
mhm.
Now you have a right to pay out salaries and stipends. If you are a board member, if you are the president CEO of the organization, you cannot get any money.
If you are the CEO
Nonprofit.
of the organization,
You're the president, CEO, chairman of the board, a board member, the treasurer, the secretary, vice president, and even just a board member, you're not to take a salary. Executive directors can get a salary.
okay, so the CEO and the executive director cannot be the same person.
No, you cannot.
Okay, so whoa. We got whoa. We got a whoa there. I'm sorry. I got a whoa for a second. So
That's a big one. That's a big one.
so basically, oh crap. I gotta think about some things. So ex
The other
officio.
gentleman got some questions?
No,
Uh,
ex officio, right? It to get a salary, can I be an ex officio?
um, you possibly can, but what you want to do with most nonprofits, not to confuse everyone, because we are looking at, because always ways to evaluate, okay? The reason the board members do not get salary, that's where most people have a challenge. A lot of people start things from the heart. They start an organization. They do everything. They put their money out. They put their heart into it. Yes, they're trying to recoup. What you can recoup your expenses. And I tell you, if you set up and keep track of things like that, and let's say you put expenses and you are a board member and you are that person that started it, you do have a right to keep track of your expenses and get reimbursed when the money comes back in. Because like you lent the organization money. But as far as ongoing, this is where people have a challenge that they start a nonprofit. In order for that person to get that $100,000 a year salary that they think that they deserve, is understandable. But they gotta remove themselves from any board position and become the executive director. And they have to give somebody that hopefully they trust. But technically, when they do that as a public organization, they can be voted out. And your nonprofit can be snatched because it's a public organization.
Mm. That's what I've always known, that you can get it snatched out, but you could put someone like, because you can't have more than two. I think it is two family members on your board, right?
Right.
Can't have more than one.
It's frowned upon, but if you got a big enough board, you have a lot of family members on the board, because a lot of times, how's somebody gonna know your family? Maybe other than last name or name recognition. So if you have because a lot of then also depends on how you file your paperwork, because you do get different status under the nonprofit. Everybody just getting a 501c3. I didn't write all of that out, but you got to read through which type of nonprofit are you. 501c3 is the most common, most popular, but you got a 501, 501b, 501, different categories. So it is ways that you can have board members. If you have a foundation, you can put many people on your board that's family members, because there's a foundation and it's a family nonprofit. And you can do a family nonprofit, and that is within your family. So it is, and that's some of the legal jargon that if it's discussed and you want to do that in your family, you got board members, everybody in the board is a family, but it's for the families and it's more private. You're doing things to help the family, not necessarily in public. So it is a lot of variations with it, but to keep us on track of it, I want to let people know that if you start your nonprofit, you must make sure that you have a tight board, but you also want to make sure who's the chairman of the board is somebody that you probably really tight with, that's really on your side, on your team, see your vision, see your dream, and going to be, so that first board to be people that you pretty much know and they got your back. But as your organization grow to $1 million and you start getting more money in and you bring in more people of status and more people with the titles and the alphabet soup behind their name and the bios because they sound so great and it looks so good to give you this money, people recommend that you get such and such, which is good. And you leave yourself open because somebody could be at that board meeting and they could take a vote and change that right away.
Mm. So chairman, is the chairman of the board the same as a president or no?
Depending upon the organization, the chairman of the board, whether it's a profit or nonprofit organization, they can they vary depending upon the size of your organization. Most of the time, the president and the chairman of the board, same person. You can sometimes have a big enough organization where you can elect the president. Now check it out. If an organization is big enough and they have a chairman of the board and they elect a president, and the organization got to get big enough for this. I don't want anybody doing this right now, just starting. You can have a discussion about the president getting a salary because now you got the chairman and the president is not necessarily on the board, but the chairman is on the board because you got to have a chairman of it. But sometimes you have the title of president and they both might serve at the same role. But as you're growing, but right now, most people in a smaller situation, I don't want anybody making a mistake with that. If you are the president, you usually the chairman. That's usually together. Before you get to trying to make somebody the president, focus on somebody being the executive director. The executive director's job is to make the whole thing run. The executive director job, not just a title, they're responsible for all the programs, running everything, and they become the face of the organization, so to speak, as far as running everything.
Okay. So, but let me skip. You said the executive, I mean, the chairman of the board and the president could be the same one, especially when you first start off. But the executive, but the president, if not, just want to be clear. So if the president, if they're not the chairman of the board, that president can get a salary. If they're not
There's
the
a
chairman of the board.
possibility. Right. If you go into an established place that's been around for years, they can have some of that makeup in the bylaws. And then any decision that's made like that must be clear in the bylaws that the president is not on the board, but they are working as the president. But before I get people confused with the title president, I want everybody to focus on the executive director getting a salary. Because if you got a president, they are doing everything. And they have a senior VP and executive VP, senior VP. All those titles are important as you grow. You can hopefully everybody get that big. But for the most part, keep it at executive director is the one that you go to for everything. They're the ones that run it. They got other executive directors, and you feel like you want to have more in your organization. That's not against the law neither. You can have more than one executive director. One takes care of one side and the other, and they all report to the board. But if you're a board member, you can get a salary. You can get some expenses reimbursed. You can get some other benefits in the indirect way, but directly you cannot get a salary.
Okay. So if you need to change your board right now, based off of the information that we've just been given, the knowledge that we've just been given, if we need to change the structure, what has to happen to change the structure?
Okay, first of all, you need to have an official meeting. Most people will do it if it's just there, they will just sit down and just change it themselves. But you kind of really want to get good practice and have an official meeting with everyone. If you have new prospective board members you like to bring on, and if you want to change up people's roles, because everybody need to have roles as well. Sometimes you need to make sure that's printed out and discussed, roles in the organization. But you need to have official meeting, and like I said, you just want to keep track of your records and change the bylaws. If you got the bylaws, it's nice and cheap when you first do them. You get them off the internet and make some basic bylaws. But now let's build on them. On this day, the 19th, we decided to make an adjustment to allow, these people to join onto the board as of this date. And we sent out letters. They did not respond. So subsequently, these 3 people are not on the board anymore, or they have taken a leave from the board, and we will revisit if they can do it in the future. But you want to do that officially. So when you're looking at first of all, before we get into just the board, think of your group, think of your mission, think of why you started the nonprofit. Nonprofits are designed to help, period. What you decide to help has got to be evaluated strongly, not as an individual, but as a group and as a board. But that's the number one mission, is what you're doing it for, because it is, nonprofits are designed to help the community. Big, small, around community, it could be your immediate neighborhood, it could be around the world. One of my clients from Sierra Leone, her nonprofit helps people from Sierra Leone. He's going back and forth working over here with our fellow African brothers and sisters doing their event, and they do ship stuff back to Africa right now into their communities where they know the neighborhoods. She go there frequently. She's there every year, and she actually got country support of her nonprofit. We can't get neighbors support of that nonprofit. They got country support, and she's still growing it. She did the paperwork over here. Everything is so far so good. It's in decent space, but she has a direct target for a country. But you want to make sure that's first. Then we could talk about the board, because you want to know what you're doing, and they get the people to sign on to you.
Got you. So, what's the name of it? YMCA, Boys and Girls Club of America, all nonprofit. Yet
Yes.
they charge money for every program, every class, everything they do.
Right.
As long as it's in your description, you can do things like that, right?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that question. It's a misconception that nonprofits don't make money. That's not true. Is when you get to the net profit of things and you got money coming in, they go to fund other expenses or other programs. So let's say you go to YMCA, very good one, right? Their membership can come in handy. Let's say it's growing. That YMCA opens up and they start off with 100 people. The next thing you know, they got 500 people. They got to hire more staff. And the staff has a right to get a salary, have a right to get raises. They got a right to have 503Bs. They got a right for medical insurance. So those memberships coming in are not going to nobody's pocket. They first of all, they paying for administrative expenses. Then as they got programs that they are doing for various reasons, they come up, anything they raise their money for goes to fund those programs. So yes, Boys Club, YMCA, my favorite is OIC, Mr. Leon Sullivan's organization. It's still operating. He had OIC Philadelphia, OIC America, and OIC International. All still nonprofits, and everybody got many salaries and everything in the organization. They document everything they're doing. But yes, when they have monies come in, sometimes the worst part is they sometimes have a situation where they don't have money coming in at all. But since we're talking about this, one thing I want people to know also, as a nonprofit, everybody growing their organization must understand this. You do not pay income taxes, but you will have to pay payroll taxes if you pick up payroll. That is not exempt as a nonprofit. That tax got to be paid by everyone. It's called the 940 and 941s that the payroll company provides you with. That shows that the people you pay money to, you pay them a salary, you give them a W-2. All of those taxes are the people's money first, and then the nonprofit still must match part of that money for people taxes. That is not an exemptable nonprofit status. That must be paid as well.
Gotcha. All right. So do you have to, if you add on programs to what you're doing, you don't have to go back to the IRS to add on the program, right?
Right. Now, that's a good one. You evaluate, and this has a board. Now, this is where legal, possibly, and that accounting experience will come in handy when we invite. Now we need an accountant in the room. You got your friend over there, Miss Jones. She took care of the treasury side. You got a friend over there, Mr. Harold. He took care of keeping track of the records, keeping good records. Now we see what's going on. Now we got to revisit the status that the IRS has you under, right? And you look at what you said you were doing to programs, make sure everything is aligned. A lot of people don't do this, but you want to look at it. And if you want to make an adjustment to what you started, sometimes it's pretty broad. You can do a lot of things under where you already are located, right? But if you feel that you might do something out of the scope or what you signed up for, then that's when we look at and evaluate, maybe ask some questions, and maybe send out the proper paperwork to change this, your category, if need be. That's when you have that outside accountant come in, or the lawyer, because sometimes a lawyer would know some of this as well, and a tax lawyer will come in and look to find out what paperwork need to get done, because you want to make sure that it's properly done. They don't normally get banged if you change up some things, but it is a concern depending on how as your organization grow. And if you do something different, it should be in the scope, but it's pretty broad with a lot of categories, but you still want to have that with a consultant come in there. And yes, if you get somebody to come in and sit down, people, you got to pay them at least $250 to $500.
So what? $250 to $500.
Yes. If you get somebody to come in and they don't charge it, that's fine. They're doing that from their heart. But when you normally go to, now that's cheap. Some people say $750, $1,500. Somebody talking about $1,500 and $1,000 for advice, don't talk to them, because that's kind of a bit much. Look for somebody that you can have a conversation with, and the best way to do it is to give them an envelope, whatever you can. If they're doing something to pick up the paperwork for to give you a fee, give them at least an envelope, because you got a lot of people out here that will do a lot. My fellow accountants, we have done many, many works. And I'm going to give y'all one little secret that sometimes y'all don't know as an African-American accountant. Most of us have done a lot when people are broke. Is when people get money, is when they lose us. Then when they lose money, they come find us because they need the help. And some of my fellow accountants listening, I told them I would shout it out. Because a lot of people got that story. That's a level of frustration, and just keep in mind every expense. And one thing I would like to do follow up with you with, ask some questions. I want to put out more, but I don't just want to put it on the internet because people don't read it. I like being in seminars face to face with people, and sometimes give them an old fashioned sheet of paper, because it is certain things we got to make sure we do as a business that I want us to focus on to make our business grow. Can I ask the question to some of the people that has logged on? If they don't mind, what are their nonprofits? What are they doing if they don't mind sharing?
They will, but somebody asked on Facebook if you could add your contact info. So if you can go underneath the post on mine, they want your contact information. Andrea Harrison, do you want to talk about your nonprofit? You still there, Andrea? Oh, Patrice did it. She put your information up there.
Oh, you see that, huh?
Yeah, I'm watching to make sure I don't miss any questions. George already talked about his nonprofit. Everybody else has a for-profit.
Okay.
Rashawn does things with working with children, but I don't know if it's a nonprofit or not.
No, ma'am, it's not a nonprofit.
Okay.
Well, since we do have the profit people online, some of the same advice that I was speaking to, it actually applies. At a nonprofit, you need to know who you're helping. But as a profit, you need to make sure you focus on your main product that's getting you busy, that's getting your business going and you make your money from. But sometimes the main product that you're selling is not always your most profitable product that you might have. So people have their profit business. Some of the things that apply as far as knowing what you're doing and keeping your hustle going, keeping your grind is most important. The paperwork is still the same process. You might not always have a secretary, you might do it yourself, but please keep track of all of your paperwork and try to document what you're doing, when and where, even if it's just notes. Because at the end of the year, you don't have to file anything with the taxes for a profit business like that, but you do need it for your record. MBS Consultants is the name of my business. Management Business Solutions. What it stands for? The initial stand for Miss Betty's son, but Management Business Solutions is what I do. And under that, budgeting. I want everybody to know this, whether profit or non-profit. I hate when people tell me they got a business plan. You do a business plan every year. It's called the budget. Your business plan is a plan to do what? Raise money or make money. October, November should be the time you're doing your business plan for your business next year. You should sit down and evaluate the first 9 months of the year that you're in. See where you stand at, so you can help project what you want to do next year. And then when you come up with it, you want to do every line item. If you got somebody got a clothing business out there, anybody got a
No,
clothing
nobody's
business?
clothing. No.
Or what's one of the non-profits? Do anybody know?
You
Any
said
of
it one
the
time?
one of the profit businesses. Do anybody want to share what type of product they're selling? What is
They're
it?
two financial. One is he helps children and he does products. So no, nobody's clothing. I don't know what Andrea's.
Okay, no. But somebody got product.
Yes.
No, but if somebody has a product and they're working with children. So if they're working with children, let's say that's on top of my head, whatever that product is, you want to go with the value of what you sold this year, not just how much you made. You want to see how many products did you move for the first 9 months. So let's say you moved 1,000 products, regardless of what the product is. You want to budget next year for that same 1,000, and you want to project what you're going to do the rest of the year. Because if you had the October and you evaluated September, that's the third quarter, and you got Christmas holiday stuff coming up. Come up with an estimated what you want to do, and you come with the estimated, and you say, fine, I did this here. And then also, what you want to do is the trend report. You want to see every month how much did you make. This is the reason you keep track of yourself monthly, because you want to see that trend's going to go up and down. And you want to see the peak. So before you get into the volume increasing how many more, you want to see where your trend at, number one. Then you want to increase the number of units that you sold. All those are the things that's why I said an analyst more than just about money. You want to look at the number of units that you sold. And once you evaluate the number of units that you sold and where you sold them at and how you sold, how you made your sales, has helped you make a better plan. You look at the number of units, the one product. If you're dealing with children, you look at how many children you reached or what the programs are, and your money's how it came for that, the number of children that you reached. Then you put dollar figures with it after you do the numbers. Then you look at how much did you have to pay out. Salary is always your first line item, whether it's profit or non-profit. And let me be clear about this. Marketing and advertising. Marketing is segment studies. You got to know what your market is, and then you advertise to that segment. If I want to go into business and I focus on senior citizens, one of the best clients I had that made me feel the most, got to my heart the most over the years. I had a client for years. I was a funeral home, and look at their market. It's death. That is not fun to sit down and talk about how you get more business next year because you got to predict where people are going to pass. So what was their strategy? They had to make sure they in what? Every Hopkins care place, every nursing home, they had to make sure they had a presence to be at some places. That's still business.
It's still business, but that's easy marketing. At least you know where your people are. You ain't got to find them.
That's so I laugh about that because that's funny to discuss. Okay, look, I sit there like this. I got to predict. You got to come with a plan to get there. But I'm joking, but that's still a strategy. So you look at where you made it. So you got a market and you advertise to that market. And you do promotions of who you are and the image. And public relations is the image of your business. You don't always need it right away. That sometimes is something to discuss, but it's not about the person. It's about the image of the business. Then you get into auto expenses because you got to drive a lot. Right now, media, social media, all these other things that we have out here to connect with people. Sometimes you got to look at the expenses of it. You got to look at using that more, see what works, see what don't work. But you got to put our money like that. So whatever the gentleman product is, he got to factor in all of these things now. Then you put it out. Well, I did this next year. I'm going to do this year. I want to increase 10%. I want my income to go up 15% because I'm going to do these strategies. And then I want my salary to go up and all the other expenses go up 3 to 5%. 3 to 5% for salaries is normal, even if it's yourself. Then you estimate the other expenses. But before you get into saying that's solid, you look at where you made your money at, looking at the trend, and then you predict what you want to do next year, but the same locations or the same energy. And then you act how much it's going to cost to advertise. Let's study my market. Let's study. So if anybody talked to you guys about doing marketing for your business, the number one report they should show you is segment studies. And they gotta be precise. If they just stand on the corner talking about marketing your business and you walking around socializing, that's not marketing. How can you do that yourself? If you come to single in the city and I sit there at the desk and I tell people, look, I'm doing taxes. And I sit there and say, sit there single in the city, or everybody drinking and having fun. Somebody will probably sit down and do that and come to the table. I'm not advertising. I'm actually looking at a market. And I'm doing my own marketing to see what's going on. So that's not an advertising campaign. But if I say, Shelly, here's some money, put me on your brochure to advertise my business for single in the city, that's advertising.
Gotcha. So do you help people put this plan together? Like as far as the budgeting and everything, is that part of what MBS does?
And budgeting is what you do first for your business plan. Management is how you make your profit.
Okay.
Infrastructure is when you want things to operate when you're not there. That's what you want to build to. And taxation, look here. Don't worry about paying taxes. If you're paying taxes, people, that means you're making money. That's a good thing to pay taxes. Now you want to come up with different things. You want to pay every penny out. But if you got to pay taxes, that means you're making money. But taxation, not just doing your income taxes. You have a lot of taxes depending upon your industry, from sales tax, sales and use tax, use and occupancy tax, different state, different county. Federal government is a big guy. But sometimes people owe taxes in other areas and don't recognize that. I said the IRS and all these taxes like the mob. They just want their cut. They don't give a darn where you made money at. They just want their cut from whatever they think you're doing in their space. But a lot of taxation, I talk about that more because people don't realize all the taxes you need to pay out on every level. So taxation is analyze anybody's business, profit, or nonprofit. Make sure we got all of those things covered. And sometimes you're sitting on refunds or credit. Like in the city of Philadelphia, which a lot of people I know live, if you hire people certain records or certain things on, if they have a criminal record or they getting certain benefits from the government, you got certain tax breaks that you can get they give you a deduction. And you got a lot of deductions like that on state and federal levels, and sometimes we need to do a better job investigating what they are in other forms. So that's taxation. A tax preparer is the person you take your receipts to, and they sit down, they put in your income, expenses, ask you around about 4 or 5 questions, talk about what you did and didn't do, and really just get to be your buddy, and then they give you a bill, but you're really not sure what you've done. If they haven't dug further. Now, some people things are small, that's fine. But it's not about how much you're making, it's about what you're doing. And when you're hiring people, you want to know the people you're hiring, whether they're young or they're old or they're retired. Because sometimes on the back end side of it, sometimes you get certain deductions for that person.
Gotcha. I want to get to a couple of questions. Do you have a website? Can you mention your website?
No, I don't have a website. I did, and I'll be honest with everyone, I was always trying to figure out what's the purpose of other than the Q pages. I do great by talking to people directly, by meeting people directly, and I always did a great job with word of mouth clientele. So a lot of times for my own market, myself, I did not have to, but in this case, since I am doing it, it's not involving me launching a website, but it will just be question and answering. And after talking to Shelly, made me revisit that because when I had the website up, a lot of times it didn't generate no business for me. And I use a website as a tool to make money. Our office is a tool to make money. If you are not making money from it and we got these expenses, it's not necessary to carry. Like I had a rule over the years. I didn't give out business cards all the time. I gave out business cards the second time I seen you. If we had a great conversation, I might give you one. But I said, why did you do that? I said, because you're giving people advice. When I see somebody the second time and they come up to me, because this is a small city, and they remember and we really busting it up, then we got something to talk about. But most of the time, that's just my own strategy for my own business, because I had a pile of cards. I had probably over 500 cards in my office that I had really set up. And when I went through the cards, I think I could tell you about 75 of them, I knew who they were, and only 15 of them I stayed in contact with. The other ones was just cards. Nothing wrong with giving out cards. Do that, promote, but be more precise. So for myself, I don't do websites, but I had no problem people calling me up, had no problem with talking through social media, and had no problem. But I will probably in the next couple of weeks set up a answer question type website just to discuss with people about what's going on.
Okay, I think George had a question, but before I'm gonna let George ask the question. When you're writing a grant and you're writing for a grant and you're just starting out, there's a section you get to where it talks about the money, the budgeting or whatever this is, and sometimes you don't have that information, but you can have a income statement or some type of statement in there to put in that grant. Because a lot of times that's why I haven't gotten the grants, because it gets to that point that you need this paper.
Right. Now, this with record keeping comes in play. This is where budgeting comes in handy. If you knew and you haven't really gotten much, but you have a projection of what you want to do, they're looking for something of detail. Numbers tell a story and explanation of the numbers, and telling the story is most important. And so let's say somebody's going for $15,000. Tell something now, and they're really not sure if they're going to get it or not. This is where you tell a story. You talk about your board in that grant. You talk about what you're doing in the neighborhood community, but you talk about the expertise you have, the compassion from your heart, the thing why you want to do it. And then you have the people on your board come in and write about them as well. That bio comes in handy. And when you relate it to the numbers of what you're trying to get to, and then you're looking at trying to reach a whole block of kids that got 500 kids on it. You come up with numbers. You don't want to just make up huge numbers, but you want to come up with some bigger goal, and that's what you want to reach anyway. If you start something, the way people lose their money, our organization lost their money because they had a GED program since the 70s. They did not keep having the numbers to show that they were worthy to keep that funding, because during the 70s they had it. That was a big thing. During the 90s they kept it. They got so comfortable that if they still getting almost $650,000 to pay salary to pay people on payroll to teach the class, and only got 25 people, you lose out. So to answer your question more precisely, you can put down what your projections on the expenses are, but you build it up saying what you're going to do. It's a challenge. You can give me a call directly. I'll be happy to help you fill that part out to get you over that hump, because it is simple. But the thing is, sometimes the other things all are attached to it. So they're looking at the money page and you're talking about what you're doing, but you want to be more precise about exactly what you're doing and how the rewards and benefits. And then also, people that give away money, they look for numbers. If they give you 5,000, fine. If they see 50 people there, they won't give it to you again. They give you 5,000 and you got 500 people there and it's crowded, they say, hey, let's give you 15 next year. Because they still want to put on your bio, they want to put on your information that that's how many people they reach. And they want to advertise you. That's marketing and promotions of their organization on your event. That's big for them.
Gotcha. George, do you want to ask the question? I know it was in the chat and I can't find it now. Can you ask your question? George? All right, let me go to the chat. We put it in the chat. You know I can't see. Oh, he said, I'm about to be the president of Survival Success. I'm tripping now. Oh, as long as I can make that money. How do you determine your budget when you're operating out of pocket?
Very good question. Take a deep breath and you take your time, because right now what he probably has done is every time something's happened, he done took it out of his pocket. He go to the store, he stop at this store, that store. Now he know he done spent a bunch of money. How you correct that? First of all, you stop that practice starting today. You start keeping track of all of your receipts and make notes on your receipts. What you did, what it was for, the date. If you go to good old Walmart, you got it on there, you brought some for that event. Right at the bottom of that receipt and keep track of that receipt going forward. When it comes to getting in your money, I'm a strong advocate of making sure you put the money in your bank every time you get paid, even if you got to take it back out. But that's the number one way to keep track of your money. But if you got that shoebox, count the money and try to pay in front of your money. Like if you're making money this week, you should not be spending any of that money. You want to try to get in front of your bills and in front of the process so you can see how much you made at the end of this week. Next week is when you spend the money, if you have to, because you want to try to pay in front of your bills to let the money build up, which is a challenge to get to. But right now, if you never know the time, now you said George had that question, Mr. George, just stop it now. Keep track. If you make $1 tomorrow, whatever your product is, whatever your service is, keep a note of it. Keep track of it. Write it in that book. Keep that ledger. Because technology is great, but old-fashioned pen and pencil come in very handy. I made this money. I made that money. Write a note. I sold to this. I stopped by here. I was in Germantown. I was in West Philly. Keep track of that because that's for your own benefit so you can see what you're doing. Because a lot of people wind up making more money than they realize. And if you don't keep track, you sit back one day and you realize, hold up, I made $60,000. What happened to it? We all go through that just working a 9-to-5 job. But when you're doing a business, that's more scary because that's a lot of money cash in and out. And then, and you don't want to do that because you want to get strong as you can with your cash flow. And you want to show the bank. They have a harder, we don't get loans from the bank. Let's keep that clear. We can't get financing. But if we're going to try to get any of it, we need to have a cash flow to show the bank.
Got it. Kevin Ransom said this is extremely important. Thank you, brother. Melvin Howard said we recommend you highly. Karen said, good evening, everyone. So good evening to everybody that's listening. I have a question about coaching. So if you add coaching and courses to your nonprofit, right? Mm-hmm. Can that be included as your nonprofit?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a good thing to include. With our nonprofit, especially if it's community-based, because coach, I come in to help you to coach. Somebody else come in to help you to coach. Somebody talking about human resource issues, because let's say somebody get the opportunity, and I hope somebody's group, whether it's profit or nonprofit, you do want to have a human resource generalist come in and talk as a consultant to help you set things up legally. If you have somebody talking about benefits, because you get the opportunity to grow your business, you do want to have somebody talking about your insurances. You do want to have somebody talking about benefits. All of those fall under the umbrella of coaching. So people coming in with that insight, and now we joke about having that stipend money or the envelope together, you give them an envelope. You give them a stipend for coming in to help out. But even somebody's doing it from your heart, somebody organization is coaching, and that's what they're doing. They got to be mindful of the fees they charge, because if they just a single person, and if they follow their paperwork and they don't have anything to show of what they're doing and they just coaching, IRS will change them to an S corporation and take away their nonprofit status. They will evaluate that.
If they're just coaching, they will change.
Just coaching, and they're making a profit, and they're making money coming in, and they're reporting that. Now, they're getting grants for the money, they're okay. But they do make determinations to see who you're touching with something like that as well. So the legal side, stuff like that is very important to know and to evaluate as a board and evaluate and discuss with legal and accountants, push for those type of questions, those type of scenarios, because those are good discussions to have in the board meetings.
Gotcha. So if it's not 100% of what you do, then it may not be flagged you know, suppose, well, my particular nonprofit is media. So all of it will come under the whole media thing. So I believe it all comes underneath of it.
And you need to have something focused on intellectual property, even if you haven't used it yet, because you're around media. That's one of the biggest ways for books, music, recordings, all of that stuff all that stuff falls under some form of media. If
So
you
you're
really think
saying that
about
I
it.
have to do something, I have to file for something else for intellectual
No,
property?
no, no. You might not have to. It just might be something just to check off that you're going to be doing. So there's a good chance if I looked at your paperwork, you probably be already covered. But I would in your case because you're doing a show. You're doing a show, and I hope your show keep going successfully because it's been successful all these years. And I hope it gets even, a lot bigger, to see around. And if it's under nonprofit status, it's not a crime. It's just a matter of evaluating what you're doing with it and where you're going with the whole show. But intellectual property is very important because you want to own the rights to everything as an organization.
All right, so I think I'm gonna have to have a conversation with you about the intellectual property later. Because that's where I'm going with it as far as coaching and the book, just like George with the book. Tracy Hanson, hey, all we over there in Indiana. Thank you for watching. George, I
Hey,
don't know.
Tracy.
You said, hey, Tracy. George, did you have any other questions? Did you fall asleep? No, I'm just playing. So I definitely want to. I know personally because I did my own. I did my paperwork. I don't believe I put anything about intellectual property in it. I do have a 501c3, but I don't remember putting anything about intellectual property in it.
Okay. I'd be happy to review it with you.
Okay. So what would we read over the determination letter?
Yeah, determination letter, but sometimes you have a copy of your original paperwork that you sent off.
It was back in 2001, so I don't think I'm gonna have to look.
You don't have the original application, do you?
No.
You're supposed to make a copy of it. See, that's why you need a secretary. The secretary is supposed to have the information in the book.
I have a binder.
I'll look at the binder. They should have it in there.
Okay. But this wasn't the original. This wasn't the original application. It's the
Right.
It was what they wanted me to change. So
Okay.
when they asked me to make changes, then I put the binder together. My original application, I didn't. But when they asked me to make a change, I decided I'm gonna go all in and make a binder of it. I just
And like I said, by you being media, you might already be covered. But I just was checking. And here again, that's problem for the nonprofit. As a nonprofit organization, if you're a profit organization, you might not have to do, you just get into the business that you're doing and you're just in that category. But for nonprofits, it's kind of important because you want to hold on to whatever you come up with, and you're allowed to make money through the intellectual property as long as it's going to feed something else, to fund something else.
Absolutely. Everything this does funds everything else. And plus, I've been doing this from the kindness of my heart for all these years.
And you took a lot of money out your pocket that you never got back. So we got to work on that too.
Yes. Well, I appreciate you. We are at the, oh gosh, we're at the 8:45. Even though I have my glasses on, I still can't see. Look, we're at the 8:45 hour. I appreciate all your your advice, all your help. Charles R. Wilson, he said, hey.
Oh, okay.
He said, hey. Of course, Patrice is watching. I'm gonna wave to her. We got a little thing.
Hey, that's Charles. Thank you, Charles, for coming on, man.
Patrice says I am a non-meat eater. Oh, so
yeah,
I guess you're gonna watch. I guess you're gonna watch Rashawn's YouTube tomorrow because he's doing the non-meat day.
Okay.
So you don't eat meat? You don't eat meat
no,
either?
We are seafood.
Oh, seafood. Okay.
We eat seafood, but no beef, no chicken, no pork.
I like all of those things.
Like all
All of
those
the
things.
above.
I'm not knocking it, but it's funny when you change up a little bit, you just, just stop gradually and it just happens and then you just stop eating.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what he's going to talk about. Melvin Howard. He's watching. Oh, he said always, bro. So he was talking to you. That was Charles R. Wilson.
Yeah. All right, well, I know a lot of times people don't chime in, but I hope more and more people watch because I look forward to doing a follow-up and getting even more detail. And hopefully everybody understand the word networking. Networking is about putting charges together. I developed some of my own practices on how I operate based upon, we all do a lot of social events. A lot of events are social. And I tell people, once you get to know everybody, what are we doing with our connections? Knowing everybody. Charles Wilson, he's somebody that worked at Temple, somebody been an entrepreneur himself. He has done a great job raising his children. Knowing people is what's most important. That's a network. Melvin Howard, the fighting bishop up in Bucks County. He's actually a really good dude in so many ways, but he's a fighter. He don't just sit behind the cloth and say, "Thank you, Jesus." He gets up here and rolls up his sleeves and fight for people. And I share that when we network, that's what we want to do with each other, not just call them just a friend, but understand the value of what people are doing, who they are, what they're connecting to, whether your business is a profit or nonprofit. This is very important. And one thing we got to do a better job of, my Black people, do not just focus on liking each other. Focus on respect. Focus on the product on the table. Don't let nothing get you away from it. Can you do business with somebody you don't like? Yes. If it's worth your while to make some money, suck it up. Because most people that don't like somebody, it ain't that deep. You ain't got to be their friend. But if it's an opportunity to make some money, why would you not want the best person? It's like any other team. You don't like everybody on your team, but some people on your team versus others. And before we leave, I would like to give a shout out to the Earl Harvey family. Since we talk so much about business, I can't call a brother my best friend, but over the years, since I've been self-employed since 1996, I've been part of NAMD with them. Always seen them every year, every event. It's amazing. It feels like we were brothers, but we never really sat down and broke bread. We never got to be homies. But I have respect for him because everything I try to do with business, supporting business, he did that through his newspaper. He did that consistently. And he's not the only one. I'm not gonna give everybody a shout out because that's my name. I'm gonna give him a shout out. Because unfortunately he passed and that hurt my heart. But there's been many of us out here that truly, truly have been doing the work and we need to see more of, that you need to recognize that is there. And hopefully more people like myself, I'll be happy seeing the list of them, not just me talking about it, but I want other people to talk about some of the same things I talked about. Because it's not a contest. It's about uplifting everyone, especially when it comes to stocks, bonds, and what Black people need is financing. Most of our ideals are very good. Our challenge is finance, and that is the system that we're in. Racism is a system. Prejudice is an individual. When we can't go to the bank, North Philly, where I come from, it did not fall down because Black people down there were just aggressive. It fell down because you couldn't get financing to fix it up because of red lines through our community. The same red line has been lifted that you see what they call Northern Liberties now. You see all these other titles they come up with. That's not our fault. So when we talk about getting involved and having a plan, forget who's running for any office. That's what we got to be more aggressive with, is making sure we see these plans better and getting the proper finances so we can all do better. So nobody has a bad idea. Paperwork, find somebody like myself to help you with it. But do the hustle first. Get into your idea and then take care of the paperwork because you have something to account for. But I just had to leave that note with everyone. It's not all our fault, but it is our fault when we don't recognize it and fix them, and keep believing in each other.
Absolutely. Evangelista said, yes, he was kind to us. Yes, definitely. Earl Harvey supported me. I can call him a friend. He supported me in everything I did. Matter of fact, when Rashawn and Tyshawn got their award from the Sigmas, Earl got his award at the same time. So we're all in the same. I believe that was the last time I was able to see him. But yeah, he supported me 100%. when I started Single on a Saturday Night, he promoted it. And when I say promoted it, he got literally people showed up because they saw it in Black Professional News.
Yes.
And I've never seen such a great response from an ad, a newspaper ad. So yes, Earl Harvey was my friend. He supported me. I supported him. I was shocked when I saw the news, but I understand. God knows best. God knows more than we do. But I wish I could, continue to honor his legacy, continue to honor what he do. But I guess we are doing that by doing what we do, continuing to support Black business, continuing to get information out there. So I'm honoring him through that way. But it's crazy when it comes to newspapers and papers. You have Bruce Webb, Sonny Driver. Now you have Earl Harvey. But all three are the legends in the newspaper business. Yet they have gone on, and they've all been my mentors and people that I looked up to. So it's time to keep going, keep moving, keep thinking. Yep. So thank you so much. He said, Charles said, good information. Evangelista said, I appreciate this information. So just want you to know what they're saying. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert. I will be in touch with you personally to show, because I want to do the whole intellectual property and making sure that when I get to that point, because I'm working on the book right now. So when I get to the point, I am straight, and eventually I'll get a grant, and maybe something about
I hope you do.
Business is the fundamental principle of life. That's Kevin Ransom. Yes, it is.
It is.
It definitely
is. BK.
Yeah. Thank y'all so much for watching. We're going to sign off right now. I think there was more chats, but I hope you know
I see somebody else came in here. Another person logged in. Now they coming in, huh?
Yeah, I see you, but we're going to go ahead and go now because we've been on here for a minute. Andrea said, amen. We wanted to know what your business was, Andrea. We wanted to see what your nonprofit was, but I understand if you're home or you're doing something, huh?
Sorry, it was bedtime for the kids. I was trying to listen and get everybody settled down. I'm so sorry. I know it's the end. Really quick, my name is Andrea Harrison. I am the founder of Princess of Power and Training to Rule as Kings, a nonprofit organization inspired by my 11-year-old son. I am also the president, part owner of Millennium Candy and Gifts. My son is the second partner. He is the co-owner of a candy store. We have an LLC and everything. I just wanted to leave something for my kids. I'm sorry I missed it. I'm going to rewatch it because you were giving out some valuable information. I do have a 501c3 and I have no idea what any of that stuff really means. So
I understand too. I feel you.
I was listening to you. I'm sorry. Because I know y'all trying to end it. I was listening to you.
No.
Go ahead.
You're good. Go ahead. I hear you.
Okay, I was listening to some of the questions that you had, Shelly, and they were really, really good questions because I, was reading over my paperwork and just knowing that you can profit from a nonprofit, but I didn't know about the dynamic. Like you have to be the executive director. Thank you. Things like that. So it's like, what do you do there?
I guess we were both on that. Tonight I can say I was like, all right. Then things have to change. I thought it was an ex officio that you could be and still, but we got some moments and we're going to change that. We understand we have to have some meetings. Yeah, go ahead back and watch it because now he taught us that we had to have a meeting, our board, to change it.
That part. Right, I caught that part about the meetings. After that, it was like camera mute, mic off, because my daughter, she's 2, so that should be kind of stuff. She's 2. So, but this was very informative. George, Shelly, everybody, I appreciate you guys putting these type of things together because we, as Black people in a community, we don't have this type of dialogue. It's like every man for himself. Nobody wants to share resources, ideas. Like George and I talk all the time, and I say I believe we all have different visions, but we have the same purpose. At the end of the day, our purpose is to help the community, change the community. My purpose is to put Philly on the map for something other than killing people.
That is true. That is true. Patrice asked, what's the difference between a 501c3 and a 501c4?
Oh, nice question. I'm muting now. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
The difference between
is she right there asking you that?
Yes, she did.
Patrice just wanted us to stay a little longer. What are you doing, Patrice?
Right. The difference is a nonprofit organization is a nonprofit organization. The terms 501c3 is the most common because it's a community base, but there's a lot within the sections. When someone's talking about the nonprofit, I'll be happy to go through. I'm not going to go through the dictionary because although I'm pretty good, I don't have each thing. But if I did that, I would confuse all the information I just gave to everybody else, and I don't want to do that.
I got it.
When we do have that, because it is other status other than 501c3, C3 allows you to take contributions. Some of the other ones do not allow you to take contributions publicly. They're more private. Yeah. So that's the thing that gets tricky because some of the millionaire folks, they don't have a 501c3. They got one of those other categories because they're funding things themselves. If you go get money from some big organizations, they are funded by that billionaire organization, and you need a 501c3 to get the money from them. But they might not necessarily have a 501c3 themselves. They're in a whole different category because they're a foundation. That is not always a 501c3. That's what some of those categories can mean. That's a funny one. You got me with that. But one thing I wanted to make sure we say loud and clear, the one thing that we need to stop subscribing to, Black folks don't work together. I hate when we say that. Stop giving that life. Just because you don't get along with everybody doesn't mean you can't work together. Stop worrying about being everybody's friend and focus on respect. But stop saying it. Everybody that I met, I've been a Black businessman because I'm Black. I might be light, might be bright, but I'm still not the other side. I shouldn't have said that, it's been correct, but anyway. But I always work with Black people. I've had other clientele, and I had people that disappoint me on all sides of the equation. But the Black people I've been blessed to meet have been doing quite well. People are people. Personalities are personalities. I got great stories. I have people's success. I got disappointing stories. That's not because they're Black. That's because that's an individual. We don't have opportunities to mess up. We don't have opportunity for financing. And we also got to understand return on investments. When we seeking money out, especially a profit business, you don't want to do a business plan. You want to show somebody return on the investment. So the plan that you are doing, like you're on Shark Tank, if you look at Shark Tank, what are they doing? They're looking at how much you're going to get back. Return on investment plan. That's what I want to start people start saying. Don't just say a cute little business plan. Stop getting off the internet. Budget is what you should be talking about. Return on somebody's investment, what you should be talking about. The other cute stuff, you get that on the internet. That says cute, have a base to teach. When you get into your business, how you gonna make money, how you gonna get somebody their money back. Somebody give you some ends, but stop saying so much that we can't work together. Earl Harvey was Black, Norm Baum was Black. I met them through NAMD. Everybody out, I'm from 21st and Norris in North Philly. That's my neighborhood, that's my organization, that's my community group, a community nonprofit organization in my neighborhood. Everybody in there is Black. Everybody that work in the city is Black. We got Black elected officials, but we got 3% of contracts going to Black people. How dumb is that? 3%. It started in 1980 something, around 84. It came over with NBEC, started using the term minority, kicked us out the equation, and we got 3% of contracts. Because what? We got to change that. But we can't change it if we keep saying what we can't do together. They get happy. They say, man, they doing it. Man, we so happy they being stupid again. Man, every time we say or we beat somebody up, Ice Cube had a good plan that he looking at the national election. He gave to both sides of the equation. The one side responded than the other. Don't worry about the side that responded. Look at the ones that need our help the most that didn't respond. That's the ones we beat up. Oh, he shouldn't say that now. When should he say it? You say it when somebody needs you. You don't say it when somebody after it's over. That's like buying a house without an inspection. Then you get mad later. Oh, my house is jacked up. Of course it's jacked up. You ain't getting inspected. We got to stop selling ourselves short like that. And people need us. People eat off of us. And we got to stop saying we don't work together to start working together. Believe in each other. Learn each other. And stop worrying about liking each other. Worry about respecting each other. But stop saying what we can't do. That is stupid, dumb, and ignorant. And we use the N-word, but we use the N-word in a proper way when we talk like that. So every time you hear it, it means exactly what it sounds, ignorant. Because every time we say what we can't do together, that's what everybody should. They say, man, they almost came around again. Man, they almost woke up again. As soon as we say it, they say, man, we happy. Every time everybody else here. And we need to take our community back. I have a plan. I'm not the only one with it. Let's do it. When it comes to something stupid and illegal, we jump on it. Let's take all that energy and put it in something legal. Let's understand hustle is not a crime, it's the product that's the crime. Let's open up stores in our neighborhood. I did the research on it. I seen the research. They make $300,000 in that little rinky-dink store in the Badlands that you don't think making no money. Looking all drug, dirt infested. And why Charlie Wu still open? Why these other stores open? They making all of this money, and we need to do a better job of coming up with a strategy and a plan and stop worrying about the man giving us money and find a way to hustle and make our own and make a stronger plan with that, whether you profit or non-profit. Young lady, Andrea, I want to talk to her because she needs an entrepreneur program for you. She got it. Dream for her sons. Make that thing happen. Find out what they're selling in their candy. Get out there to events. Put some gas on her car. She said she got a 2-year-old. She put her kid down to sleep. She got a lot of hustle on her plate. But I'm encouraging the sister. Get up. Do it. Look at every event when the stupid COVID thing finally passes. And every event come out and go to every event they can. Get her kids dressed up, make sure they're nice and cute. And when they sell her kids, they sell them the image of their company, get them a nice haircut and put a little shirt and tie on them one day and let them go out there selling their candy. Watch any people like, oh, they're so cute. Sell it, but grow with it. Grow the business and incorporate your friends.
And that happens every time we out. I'm sorry, Shell. I'm going back on mute.
Oh, no, I was gonna say absolutely. I was about to compliment her that George had an event and her son was out there with his candy, had a table out there selling his candy. So she's right there next to him. She had a team of people helping him while he's selling his candy. He was representing it. So I just wanted to shout her out with that. And as far as Black folks working together right here, this team right here works together. Motivation Monday, every third Monday has been it's 2 years old, and we all help each other. One has an event, we support that event.
Great.
The other one has an event, we support that event, and we support each other.
Great.
So I am not a subscriber of we don't work together. I believe it. I've been in business for a lot of years, and we've been working together. So yes, let's keep working together. Like you said, Andrea, you said you want to talk. His information is on Facebook.
Tell her, I'm gonna send her a message.
Okay, yeah, you can put it in the chat. So Andrew, you can get the information. He's gonna put his information in chat. It was also on Facebook if you needed it. Thank you all so much. Good night to you both. Evangelista Batista, she said, good night to you both. Daryl Jones, what's going on? How are you? That was that fine establishment there. Yes. So we're gonna end this on saying thank you all so much for participating. Thank you so much. Oh, you just put it on Facebook, Robert?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were gonna put it in the chat over here.
No. I'm gonna do that too. I'm gonna do that as well.
Okay.
Patricia's doing all that for me. I'm talking to you. I'm not doing nothing. My hand's right here. She's doing that for me. I'm gonna take care of it.
No. There's a chat. There's an internal chat that
everybody. Oh, here we go. Right here.
Can you see it?
Oh.
So put it in the internal chat so Andrea can get it. Andrea, you see the chat, don't you? Okay. Oh yeah, you was over there chatting. I saw you. She was saying that she think y'all related or something.
Oh, okay.
She said her father's side is the Williams.
Yes, I'm just I was looking for my biological father's side of the family, and their last name is Williams and Epps. And I talked to my cousin Robert Williams the other day, and my cousin Edward Williams the other day, and then you saying that you from North Philly, and we're all from North Philly, like they still live in North Philly. That's like, wait a minute, is this like a side uncle cousin? I don't know. So if we meet in a couple of weeks, I told you.
Okay.
A side uncle cousin. I ain't never heard of no side uncle cousins, but if you want to say side uncle cousins, side uncle cousin brother, there, yes, there's family all around. Saran said, thank you for the information. Thank you so much, Saran. She's normally on here with us, but thank you so much. She is definitely, we normally have it before COVID. We were at TGI Fridays every third Monday, but now we're on Zoom for now until life opens up. So good night to you all. Thank you so much. Don't forget, tomorrow you can see the vegan day for Connected Kitchen. Rashawn, you still there? Or not? Maybe he's watching the game somewhere. Patrice said, "Wee." I don't know what she meant by that. Vegan. Oh, vegan. Wee, vegan. Yes. All right, y'all. Have a wonderful evening. And Robert, thank you so much for imparting so much knowledge that will save us from going to jail. Listen, you can get messed up with this stuff. So thank you for saving us all from going to jail, making sure we get our paperwork properly done. All us executive directors, we got our new executive directors in the house. I see you. All right, thank you so much. Have a good night.
Okay.
All right, good night, y'all.